Welcome to a bonus episode of First Steps Into Rocketry. In this episode, we will build the Crossfire ISX. This rocket is available by itself or in the Tandem X kit from Estes, including a launch pad and an additional rocket. If this is your first step into rocketry, taking a bag of components such as this and turning it into a rocket such as this can be a bit intimidating. So let's go step by step so you can see the process, what it entails, and what to expect. In order to build the Crossfire ISX rocket, you will need to provide some building supplies of your own. The first one that you will need is yellow glue or wood glue. You will need some sandpaper, 80 grit to 120 grit. You will need a pencil and a hobby knife. You will need a ruler, as well as something that you can cut on. And then, as always, follow the instructions step by step. To begin, we will open the bag. Inside, you will have a sheet of balsa wood fins that are laser cut. There are small tabs holding these in place. You'll need to go over that with the hobby knife to extract the 3 fins and the 3 decorative pieces that attach on the fin as well. You'll find a parachute. That will be the last step. The body tube that has 3 pre-cut slots for the fins. This makes fin alignment incredibly easy. A motor tube that will hold the motor and then goes inside the body tube at this end where the fins are. A small bag containing several different components. Inside here you will find a motor hook. This metal hook will attach to the motor mount and help to hold your engine in place. You will find a yellow tube that simulates the diameter of a motor to help you to insert this thrust ring. When this ring is in place, it will prevent the motor from going any further forward. This prevents the motor from just flying through your rocket and you don't leave the pad. There will be 2 centering rings that attach onto the motor tube, which then holds it in place inside the body tube once they're glued in place. You will find a small 1/8 inch launch lug. This will be glued to the body tube and allow this to slide onto a launch rod so that you can launch it straight and effectively. You will find an elastic shock cord. This will attach your rocket to your nose cone as well as the parachute. And then you will find a plastic piece that contains the nose cone as well as a transition segment that will go on the aft or rear end of the rocket. That's strictly decorative. Let's go ahead and get started. The first step is to sand the sheet of balsa wood fins. Simply take sandpaper and rub over the fins on both sides. And now you will remove the fins with a hobby knife by following along these pre-cut, laser-cut lines. Simply allow the knife to glide through the small tabs that hold this onto the sheet. Once it's cut through, the fin will detach from the sheet. Like so. And simply repeat this for the other 2 fins and the 3 decorative pieces. Once all the fins are detached, you want to sand each individually along each of the edges to ensure that they are all uniform and smooth. You can stack the 3 edges or the 3 fins together and simply run them over the sandpaper. And then just feel to ensure that they're smooth. If there's any of that burr left, continue to sand until that's gone. And do this for this smaller piece here as well. To reduce drag and improve your aerodynamic performance, the leading edge of each fin, which is the edge that does not have the slot on this rocket, because this piece will attach onto the bottom and make a, honestly, I don't know what this is for. I imagine it increases stability, but it greatly increases drag on your rocket, so it will ensure that you have a slower launching rocket. But this leading edge, you want to round. So you don't want a flat edge here. You want it to be rounded around so that the air can flow more easily with less drag and turbulence. To achieve this, simply hold the piece at approximately a 45-degree angle, taking a firm grip covering the entire length of the fin. If you just grip it here in the middle, you could snap the edges off. So grip the entire length of the fin, and we drag the entire surface across. And we do the same on the opposite side. Then inspect to ensure that it is even. This edge is now rounded to ensure better aerodynamic flight. You can also do the same to the following edge rather than the leading edge, but it is less vital. This is the most important side to do. This is the side we're going to do. Simply repeat this for the other 2 fins. The next step is to take the motor tube or engine tube and put 4 marks on here. In the instructions, it specifies where these marks should be. You should have one at the 1/8 inch mark. Go from the base of your ruler to 1/8 inch. You also want 5/8 inches. You want 2 1/4 inches and 2 5/8 inches. 1/8 inch, 5/8, 2 1/4, 2 5/8. If you need this in millimeter, it's 3 millimeters, 16 millimeters, 5.7 centimeters, 6.7 centimeters. The next step is to take a hobby knife and make a small slit at the 2 1/4 inch mark. This is for the engine hook. Simply plunge the tip of your knife into the cardboard tube, being mindful of your fingers. And then you can take the motor hook or engine hook and insert it into that slot. And you can see how the hook will fit according to the length of the engine tube. Taking this disposable piece, simply make a mark at the 1/2 inch mark, as such. For the next step, you will need a dowel or other item that will allow you to apply glue to the inside of the engine tube. As you can see, we've used this one for quite a few rockets. It has witness marks all over it as well as old dried glue. This will work just great. The glue needs to be at approximately the 2 1/4 inch mark. As you can see, I have a witness mark here that will allow me to insert this into the engine tube, swirl it around, leaving glue here where I want it. Small amount of yellow glue is applied, inserted to the witness mark, and swiped around. Now take the small thrust ring, insert it into the tube, and use this that you've previously marked to drive this to the mark. This is now discarded. With the thrust ring in place, now insert the motor hook into the slot that you'd made previously. If you peer into the end, you can see the thrust ring and where the motor hook protrudes. This will prevent the motor from traveling further. The next step is to attach the centering rings to the engine tube. These will go at the marks that you've previously made at 2 5/8 inch and 5/8 inch. Always test fit before you apply glue to ensure that the rings will fit over the tube and over the engine hook. For the first step, apply glue at the 5/8 inch line. A small amount of glue will go a long way here. And then glue at the 2 5/8 inch line. Take your finger and smooth the glue to make what is called a fillet of glue. And if needed, you can add additional glue. This fillet is important because it imparts strength to this bond. This bond is what transfers energy from the motor to the rocket. And allow that to dry. In between the slots, you want to draw a line going down the length of the tube. The easiest way to achieve this is to either get a piece of angle iron or come into a doorway in your home where you don't mind getting pencil marks. Simply find the halfway point and draw a line down the tube. Now make a mark 3 1/4 inches down the length of the line that you just made from the aft end or the end with the fins. Simply place the ruler over the line. Make a mark at the 3 1/4 inch mark. This is for the launch lug. Will be glued in place here. Okay. The next step is going to be to insert this engine tube into the body tube. Always test fit before you apply glue. As I attempt to push this in, it's very snug. I'm going to sand lightly around this ring to ensure that we have a snug but not too tight fit so that I can insert it, because once that yellow glue grabs, it's not moving. And now it moves much easier into the tube. The next step is to apply glue inside the aft end just forward of these slots. Inside the rocket, we're going to apply a ring of glue for the engine tube to be glued in place. Sometimes it helps to rotate this so that you don't drip. Being careful not to get glue anywhere other than where we want it. Simply apply a ring of glue inside the body tube. Insert the motor tube most of the way, but not yet to the glue. Then apply a small amount of glue to this ring. You can smooth it with your finger. Align this hook with the line that you drew previously down the length of the body, and simply insert the tube to the 1/8 inch mark that you made on the body tube there. And allow that to dry. The most challenging part of this build is cutting the segments out of this plastic nose cone. We're going to discard 2 of the pieces and retain the rest. This piece here will be discarded along with this piece here. To remove these, use a sharp hobby knife. This part can be difficult, and so if you are young, get a parent's help. The easiest way, rather than sawing through, is to simply glide the knife over the gap until such time as it cuts through. Take your time. This may take several minutes to cut through, applying downward pressure until you've managed to cut through this plastic. A sharper knife than the one I'm using would be a great boon. So there we've cut through the plastic. Continue to follow the edge. This will be discarded. And don't worry if you've got some rough edges. We're going to sand these to ensure that they're smooth and attractive. Take your time. Continue to apply pressure until your blade will begin to slice through the plastic that you've scored with the knife. We will keep this piece. This portion will be inside the rocket and invisible, so I'm less worried about a smooth edge here. But this side will be outside the rocket. We're going to want to sand this to ensure that we have a nice, smooth, flat edge. That's great. Finally, cut this conical piece here at the neck. Using a gentle sawing motion here. And it cuts through. The last step is to remove the fill in that small eyelet. Simply plunge the knife gently along the borders of the fill. And we're finished. This transition piece at the back has a notch. This needs to be removed to allow relief for the engine hook. Carefully cut. Again, if you are young, get an adult's help with this step. These hobby knives are sharp. And now there's relief for the engine hook. You can clean this up if you would like. The next step is to insert this transition piece into the aft end of the rocket. Where you've cut the notch for the engine hook, it will simply slide into the body tube until it stops. To secure this, the instructions recommend plastic cement. We're going to use super glue. Simply apply a bead of glue around. Insert into place, leaving room for the engine hook in the notch that you previously cut, and allow that to dry. Now we attach the fins to the rocket. There's a tab that will go through the slot on the body tube. Again, test fit before you glue it into place. Ensure that the small notch is facing the aft end or rear end of the rocket. This is correct. This is incorrect. Apply wood glue to the entire root edge of this fin and insert it into the tube and hold in place until the fin catches with the glue. A tip is to apply a very small amount of glue. Smooth it with your finger to ensure an even coating of glue. Insert it into the slot and now hold it in place. That small amount of glue will catch very rapidly and hold the fin where it needs to be. You can check the alignment at the aft end to ensure that your fin is not tipped, but is straight up and down. Once this catches, simply repeat with the other sides and allow them to dry. There. One of the most important steps of construction is a fin fillet, a bead of glue that runs down the root edge on either side of each fin. This will help to attach the fin to the body tube. Simply apply a small bead of glue and run your finger down the length to ensure even coverage. If there's excess, just remove it with your finger. Do this on all of the sides. And allow to dry. Now we'll apply the launch lug. Where you made a mark earlier on the line that you drew, simply apply a 1-inch strip of glue. Place the launch lug into this glue. Ensure it is aligned and allow it to dry. Now attach the stabilizing strakes to each fin. You will apply glue and insert the slot on the fin into the slot on the strake and allow it to dry. Clean up any glue with the edge of your finger and repeat on the other sides. Using scissors, cut out the shock cord mount from the instructions. This will attach the shock cord to the rocket. Fold along the dotted lines. Apply glue. This will be inserted into the forward end of the rocket. You want to ensure that it goes in at least 1 inch. So at least 1 inch into the inside of the rocket. How you attach it is to apply glue to this piece and slide it in with your finger. When it is inside at least 1 inch, press down firmly and smoothly. And allow to dry. The last 2 steps are to attach the parachute and the shock cord to the nose cone. Remove the parachute from the package and unfold it. There are several shroud lines running, one going across the parachute and 2 on either side. Simply gather them up in your hand, lift and pinch the center of the parachute, pulling tight to ensure that the lines are all of equal length from here to your finger. Make a small loop. Pass that loop through the eyelet on the nose cone. Now pass the parachute from the center that you've pinched through the loop and gently pull until it's taut, ensuring that your shroud lines are all of equal length. Now attach the shock cord to the eyelet. A double knot works just great. Hold tight, and your rocket is ready for paint. So now your rocket is finished. All you need to do now is paint and apply the decals, and your rocket will go from looking like this to looking like this. And that's all there is to it. Happy launching. The Estes Crossfire is available direct from Estes as a standalone kit or as part of the Tandem X flying model rocket launch set, which includes 2 rockets, a launch pad, and launch controller. Please be sure to use our affiliate link or our Estes discount code APEX to save 10% on your order.